Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Maisie and this is Maisie with a Z, and today we're going to be doing a reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR according to Goodreads video. So I've got my computer here and we're gonna pull up Goodreads and let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to my books and then want to read and filter by average rating. Okay, so the lowest rated book on my Goodreads shelf is Making Conversation by Christine Longford. So this is a Persephone Books edition, which, if you don't know, Persephone Books is a small bookstore / publishing company that basically finds books by women that have gone out of print and that it thinks are like worthy of becoming classics and republishes them. And so I went to London with my mom over spring break, and we took a day trip to Bath and went to Persephone Books. This is one of the books I picked up there. So let's see. The description is: the heroine Martha is plain with curly hair, small eyes, which she tries to enlarge in a soulful manner by stretching them in front of the looking glass, and very little chin. She's extremely clever and totally innocent. Her besetting trouble is that she either talks too much or too little. She can never get right the balance of conversation. I mean, that's relatable. The genteel school Martha goes to is run by Miss Spencer and Miss Grossmith. Martha doesn't mind them. Indeed, she doesn't really mind anything. She's a most detached girl, letting even their idiotic sarcasm slide off her back. I'm gonna be honest, it seems like kind of a vibe, which is why I picked it up, but let's see why it only has 2.88 stars. It takes a lot to get a book below 3 stars on Goodreads. It only has 18 reviews, so it's probably a little bit biased. 48% 3 stars isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not. It's better than 48% 2 stars. This review says, I found it enjoyable enough and certainly witty, but in a consciously clever way that isn't very attractive. I usually enjoy Persephone books very much, and I'm all for their mission of bringing forgotten little literary treasures back to light. I'm not sure why this one was chosen, though. The protagonist was unsympathetic and unfunny, which is worse. I typically read for pleasure, and finishing this little book just felt like work. That doesn't bode well. Looks like a lot of comparisons to Jane Austen, or saying that it had been compared to Jane Austen and they don't agree. A funny and entertaining book published in 1931 by a member of the Bright Young Things like Nancy Mitford, Evelyn Waugh, etc. It takes a backward look at growing up not quite right. Making Conversation is an immensely readable novel. Interesting period piece, but not something to crow about. If I'd known there wasn't going to be a plot, I think I would have enjoyed this more. So I adored this book. It's just so funny. I don't get why other people dislike it so much. So the reviews don't seem to be terrible. They just seem to think it doesn't sound like a horrible book. It just sounds maybe a little boring and maybe like not that great. Especially since I believe Persephone books typically people really enjoy the books, so it might seem more disappointing in that because people went in with high expectations. I don't really know what to expect of this, but I'm hoping it'll be good. I'm not feeling that great about it right this second, but you know. So that is the lowest rated book on my shelf according to Goodreads. So that will be one of the books we're reading. It was first published in 1931. And then let's go back to my books and what to read. And average rating, reverse. Okay, these are all books that aren't out yet or that I don't own. Kingdom of Ash I'm not doing because I haven't read the few books before that in Throne of Glass. Critical Role I'm not doing because it's a graphic novel and I wanted to do an actual novel for this book. Emperor Storms again I can't do. Spy Family I'm not doing because, again, graphic novel / manga. Hero of Ages I'm not doing because I'm still on the first book of Mistborn. House of Sky and Breath, I still haven't read the first book, so looks like we're doing The Winter of the Witch, which is the third book in the Winter Night trilogy, which I'm excited about. I loved the first 2 books in the series, so let's see. Actually, let's just not look at that description since it's the third book in the series, and I think everyone should read this series if you remotely like fantasy. It is so good. Let's see, reviews. The experience of reading the last book of a beloved series is always a bittersweet one. Through 3 books and years upon years of magic and fear and family and growth, this story burrowed deep into my heart. The Winter of the Witch is everything you would want out of a Winter Night novel and the perfect conclusion to a triumph of the series besides. It's over, but it's definitely a beautiful and fitting ending. You know that feeling when you find a book that speaks to some deep part of your soul and you just want to shout, "This is why I read"? This winter trilogy has become exactly that for me, reminding me of all the reasons why I love literature. I learned an important life lesson from this trilogy. If a fanatic priest ever comes to your home causing trouble and a cannibalistic lake spirit helpfully offers to eat him, just let her do it. I love this book. It has been said that those who do not believe in magic will never find it, and this book is physical proof that magic does exist. Every page, every word, every letter made its way into my heart, which began to beat in a steady and strong rhythm of I believe, I believe, I believe. This story, this trilogy is woven into the very fabric of my soul and will forever be a part of me. A truly captivating tale that has made me fall in love with reading all over again. And as I've come to the conclusion of this wonderful story, I realize what a joy and privilege it is to have such magic in my life. 5 stars. So, I mean, I'm excited. These are all absolutely raving reviews. So that, with an average rating of 4.5 stars, is going to be what I'm reading for the highest book on my Goodreads TBR. I have much more faith in that than I have in Making Conversations, because the first 2 books in this trilogy were absolutely stunning, and I have no reason to believe this book will be any different. So I'm back and have retrieved the 2 books, so I'm definitely looking forward to this challenge. I think I'm going to start with Making Conversations, just because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a quick read. It's a little under 300 pages, but the size of the print is like that. So it shouldn't take that long. I'm sure I can knock it out in like a couple hours. And then I will read The Winter of the Witch after this. I'm not sure how long this challenge is going to take me. It could be a couple days, it could be a week and a half, I don't know. But I will check in with you when I start reading Making Conversation. Welcome to the floor of my closet, because that's apparently where I've been reading. But I'm about halfway through Making Conversation, and it's a time. I was planning on updating every quarter of the way through, but I got to a quarter of the way through, and I didn't have that much to talk about, so I decided to just do halfway. And, you know, it's a book. To be honest, the most interesting thing in the book so far was the preface by the author's niece, I believe, about the author's life, which was honestly about 1 billion times more interesting than the actual story. And the actual story itself is fine. The main character is kind of charming, I guess. It basically follows this girl named Martha, and conceit of the story is she's bad at conversation. But that really doesn't actually come up that much. It's set during World War I, or a little after World War I. I think it's during World War I. And her mother rents out rooms in their house, and a lot of it is set around Martha's interaction with the tenants. It's kind of interesting. Like, it talks about socialism and the war and such, but not in any way that seems like it's trying to make a point. And there's also just a couple of scenes in it that just get, I think, glaringly racist for no real reason. Like, it's very out of the blue. Like, the story itself is okay, but those moments very much just, like, take you out of it and definitely drag down the book as a whole. Right now, I would guess I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. Maybe 3 stars if anything happens in the second half to make it worthy. But we're looking at 2.5, which is about on par with the Goodreads reviews. So, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if you can see. I do have a few tabs. The thing is, in the preface, the niece talks about how her aunt wrote this, like, autobiography / memoir, and I wish I were reading that instead. Like, that sounds better than this, because her life actually sounds interesting. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes, and I will get back to you once I finish it with updates. Hi again, so I've just finished making conversation, and I don't really know what to say about it. It's just such a strange book. Like, okay, so I'd say the first half of it is kind of during the main character Martha's, like, childhood living at home, and the second half of it she goes to Oxford. And the first half is just very strange, where nothing's really happening. It's just a bunch of different, like, vignettes that, like, whatever. And then the second half, once she gets to Oxford, there's a bit where it's mostly just about her and the other girls getting up to antics and such. But then it just becomes her having brief flirtation after brief flirtation until, okay, well, skip to this time if you don't want spoilers. Although I really wouldn't recommend this book, so I don't know who would care if they have spoilers. But let's run through these dating attempts. So first she dates relatively normal guy, and then it ends with, like, him trying to kiss her and her being like no, and then that's whatever. And then she starts having feelings for this, like, super scholarly guy, and they kind of have a thing going. He, like, ghosts her, and I mean, that's not the terminology they use, obviously, but he, like, ghosts her, and then she finds out a few weeks later that he died in a presumed suicide pact with another woman. And then she has a brief thing with this, like, middle-aged man, and she's still a teenager, this, like, middle-aged American man, and he convinces her to come down to London to visit him. And then she ends up staying there overnight, and then she ends up getting expelled when she comes back, because she's, like, breaking the expected rules of conduct. And then she's expelled, and her mother sends her to Prague to go work for, like, family friends, because there's nothing for her to do in England. And she ends up getting proposed to by this random Czech guy who she meets while traveling there. And it's just kind of like, sure, we'll see what happens. But it was just so strange. And I don't know what to think of this. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. Because, I mean, there were funny moments in it. I do have some tabs, if you can see. But it's just, I mean, I wouldn't recommend this. It wasn't great. There are better classics to read. I really don't know what to say about this. It's just, the first half has no plot, but is randomly interspersed with, like, very strange, racist conversations. And then the second half is a university fiction plot-ish, but I just did not understand what the point of it was. I don't really know what to say, but at least the end papers are pretty. I'm giving this 2.5 stars, which is about what the average Goodreads rating was, because it wasn't the worst thing I've ever read. Like, I didn't hate the experience of reading it, so it doesn't deserve, 2 stars, but it was just a strange experience, is what I have to say about that. But anyway, now that this is over, it's time for The Winter of the Witch, which is the final book in the Winter Night trilogy. As I said earlier, I have nothing but the highest hopes for this. The first 2 books were amazing, and I have no doubt this will be the same. It's not that long. Yeah, it's only about 350 pages, so hopefully I'll knock this out tonight, or probably tomorrow, actually. I have to do some work for a class I'm taking tonight. But hopefully I can finish this tomorrow and wrap up the vlog then. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm happy to have my Russian folklore historical fantasy book to cleanse my palate after the oddness that was making conversation. And yeah, I will update you as I get through this. I just finished reading The Winter of the Witch, and I'm gonna be honest, I meant to update you all partway through, but I could not stop reading it. It was just so amazing, and I don't really have the words for it. If you remotely like fantasy, read this series, especially if you enjoy folklore, if you like historical fantasy. It does everything so amazingly, and this is the absolute perfect conclusion to the trilogy. It tied up all of the themes so well, and fundamentally this trilogy is about tensions between old pagan beliefs and Christianity, and it's about faith and belief, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's about learning to let beliefs coexist. And Vasya, who's the protagonist, is so amazing, and it's so wonderful seeing her journey from, she starts as a little child in the first book, and she's fully coming into her power and her legacy and what she's meant to do by the end of the third book. And it's just amazing. I love every single one of these characters. Though there's specifically one character that you cannot help but despise. But even then, every character in this has such humanity, even the non-humans. And you feel for them even when you despise all of their actions. Throughout this book, you're watching Vasya as she's trying to navigate what's moral and what's correct when she's just trying to do her best for everyone that she is loyal to. And it's just, I can't say enough good things about this trilogy. This book absolutely deserves its high rating. Each book in this trilogy is 5 out of 5 stars for me, and I love it. I can't wait to reread it whenever I end up doing that, because this is a series I will be rereading for a long time. It's just so amazing, and I don't know why it's not more popular, but it should be. So yeah, that's the moral of the story, is read this series. And the other moral of the story is do not read Making Conversation. It's not that good. I was not expecting well, that's not true. I was fully expecting this book to be amazing because the first 2 books were. So I fully believed the extremely high Goodreads rating. I was not really expecting to believe the very low rating on this, but it ended up being true. I don't know what moral is coming out of this challenge. I don't want to say that it's trust Goodreads ratings, because I don't usually trust Goodreads ratings, at least the averages. I use Goodreads ratings more like looking at the reviews and seeing what exactly people are saying about it rather than trusting just their star ratings. But yeah, that's what I have to say. I'm still really glad I did this challenge because I'm really glad it motivated me to finally read this 3rd book. Like, I just finished this an hour ago and I just want to I was almost in tears from all the emotions I was feeling. Even though it's not a sad story, but it's just so beautiful and amazing. And I love the protagonist so much. I love all the characters, and seeing how the story grows from the 1st book to the 3rd as it expands a lot in scope as Vasya comes into herself and comes into her powers and her destiny, and seeing the books grow along with her, and it's just... So yeah, that's the end of this challenge. I don't have much more to say than raving about this book and absolutely not raving about this book. And yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.